Hi guys, welcome back.
Welcome back everybody, and everybody who's new, welcome.
Right, this video is because I've been requested a few times now about not getting catches with traditional tools. You know, I always say, because people tend to pick up on, so some people don't even listen to what you say, so they don't pick up on things. Some people pick up on things that I say about everything I talk about is catch-free turning. Being able to turn and never ever get another catch, okay? And there's many people out there think that's not possible, you'll always get catches. Now, I'll say you'll always get the odd little skip back and things like that. They're not catches, I'm on about catches, okay? Catches where you get that bang and it's a nasty, you know, you'll know the ones you've had them. Right, people tend to think that's not possible, to be able to always turn but never get a catch. Might not be possible for them, doesn't mean it's not possible. Okay, a lot of people say things are not possible because it's not possible for them to do it, and they want everyone to think the same because then they feel better that they're lacking in their experience. There you go. It's like the people that say you can't get as good a finish off a carbide as a traditional tool. No, it's they can't do it. It doesn't mean it can't be done, because I've proved it so many times. And like I've said before, you know, if they want to come and have a little head-to-head, I'm quite up for that. They might learn something. There you go. But anyway, I'm not talking about carbide today. Traditional tools, been requested. So I'm going to go for a few. How to present it and not get catches, ever. You've got to understand one thing. Bevel. And that's the root of it all. The whole thing of turning, the bevel. As long as your bevel is controlling the tool, you will never ever get a catch. If you control the tool, you will get catches, okay? And I'll explain that more as we go along, because obviously you've got to control the tool because you're holding it. But the bevel, you know, and I'm just going to grab, clean it off a bit. The bevel, this whole side, this controls everything this tool can do. That. Okay, if you don't use that and you just use this cutting edge and you come in here and you're, like, as I say, always say, scraping mode, you are controlling it, you're controlling how much wood it can take, you're controlling its travel, okay, that's when you're going to get catches. So as long as you can learn that this, no matter what you're cutting, no matter what shape the wood, no matter what size the wood, no matter whether you're hollowing, roughing, shaping, whatever you're doing, spindle work, whatever tool it is you're using, from a skew right through to every chisel, spindle gouge, roughing gouge, bowl gouges, whatever, always the bevel. That is the most important part of this tool, the bevel. It must always be in control. That's the only thing that can give you complete control and never ever get a catch, okay? Right, so we talk about how we're going to present it. Right, let's just say a couple of things. I'm going to put a piece of wood on.
Yeah, right, okay. We have the Buy Me a Coffees. Thank you very much. Glenn is well caffeinated. Someone bought a coffee. I've forgotten what your name was, someone. Again, I know you've done it quite a few times to us. So thank you very much for that. Keith Howard and Paul McGregor and Neil Edgley, thank you very much for your donation to the channel. Very much appreciated, guys.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, I've just put this piece of log on. I'm going to just change my tool rest for a minute to a longer one, because that bit of wood's just slightly longer than that. Okay. So I'll put this tool rest in. Right, now, this is, it's got a bit of a bow to it. I'll give you some sizes. Just, it's not really important, the sizes. Right, it's just under 10 inches, 9.5 inches or 250 mil, okay, and across its diameter it's 100 mil or say 4 inches. Right, that just gives you that rough idea. Now, it's got quite a curve here, okay, it bowls out, so it's nice and close to the tool, and I always say keep your tool rest as close as you can without the wood actually touching. Right, so I've got gaps here, and I've got to have it that close because of this. Just this bit here that's going to be moved very quickly. As soon as that's moved, get the tool rest in. Okay, that's the bit we're going to get rid of first. Right, now I see so many people will say they'd use a bowl gouge on this because of the gap in and stuff. Now if you're going to come in with a roughing gouge, and what I'm going to do, I would normally use one of my big 2-inch ones. Okay, I'd recommend, if you can get hold of them, get one. But new, they're very expensive. Okay, I've got 6 of them. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a typical, and I have 2 of these. I pretty much have 2 of everything. Okay, they're identical chisels. Okay, both sharpened in the same way. These are just 1-inch roughing gouges. So I'm going to use this first. So that's sort of the size most of you would have. Okay, they've both been used. I've not freshly, you can see they've not been freshly sharpened up for this. They've been used before. I'll just take that one. That'll do. Whichever. Right. Okay. Now you hear so many people will say, come in, anchor the tool, rub the put the bevel there, and then raise the handle and pick up the cut. Right. Now the problem is, something shaped like this, you cannot get your bevel rubbing because it's just going to be bouncing, isn't it? It's going to hit there, miss there, hit there, miss there. We need to cut first. It has to be a cut then bevel. It's not bevel and cut. It's cut then bevel. You must make that cut and have a place for your bevel to go. That's the most important thing, right? Now, a lot of people I have very steep angles. It's 30 degrees. People wanting to know what it is. 30 degrees. Okay, that's what you would have on your jigs. It's a very steep grind. Okay. Now, a lot of people would have a 45. They might have a lot of it's 45 for these. Now, they will come in and they will just rough down by coming across like this, and you're basically cutting here on the cutting edge, and you've got no bevel control whatsoever. First thing to do, look at your bevel, look at the wood, and you want your bevel, the tool here must be at an angle so that your bevel is going to be in line with the wood there, like that. Okay, so it's no good me having the tool here because that bevel will never ever come into contact on that wood, no matter how small this wood gets, because it's at the wrong angle. So you've got to look at your tool and you've got to hold it in that angle. Okay, that's how I've got to hold it. So this is where my tool's going to be. Now, I would recommend, if you want to have a beautiful roughing gouge that you will never get a catch on, you put a nice 30 degree bevel on it. And now, unless you want, and I've got to jump back here a minute, let me grab a gouge that I haven't actually really sharpened up yet. These are spare ones I have. Right, that's how your gouge would normally come straight across. Now, if you want to use your gouge to do tenons or whatever, or come in and do straight cuts like that, then okay, you want one flat. With me, I'd never use it for that. Why would I? Something that was done years ago, people did it because they didn't have the variety of tools that are available to us today. They couldn't afford to have so many different tools, so they made one tool do a lot of jobs. Okay, we don't have to do that nowadays. So when you come in to put your tenon and stuff on, or you want to put flags, just pick one of those up and go done. Okay, it's just a beading parting tool. Okay, so we just come in and we like that. That does it. You can use your skew chisel. A lot of people use a skew chisel. I don't recommend it. It's not what a skew's for. But if that's what, but this is designed for this sort of thing. So come in, put your flat on. Right. So you don't need your straight across grind on a roughing gouge. They all come like it, and it's the worst grind you can have. Absolutely the worst grind you can have on a roughing gouge. It makes it into such a tool that will grab and catch. Okay. Because what you've got, let me go back to it, when you've got your tool straight over and you come on, even with it dropped like there, this is the sort of, now this one hasn't, let's say, it's not been sharpened, not by me, this one I bought it was a second hand one, got it off eBay, okay. It's got about a 45 degree grind on it, okay, and this would be used where people would come in and do this and go across. The problem with that, it takes a big chunk of wood, okay. Even when you roll it over, it's taking a big, sorry, I'll roll it that way, it's taking a big chunk of wood. That makes it very grabby, and it can make it catch. It's taking too much. You don't need it to take that much. The bigger area that's taking wood off doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be quicker to get your piece down. Okay, you can rough it down quicker by actually having a smaller amount in contact with the wood, but it takes the wood away quicker than what this will. This will really chunk away at wood. So the straight across grind is it's what was used years ago, and it's so, like, people seem to think that because something was done 60, 70 years ago, that's always got to be that way. No, we've moved on. We've got ways of sharpening things better. These were just very easy to just roll and sharpen like that for people. A lot of people didn't have the jigs and things, didn't make the jigs, didn't have the knowledge of the turning. I wasn't around. There you go. Anyway, right, so my recommendation, get rid of the corners, okay? You can see I've got it sloped down. That gives me the benefit straight on. I know this is a waffling bit, but if you want to learn to be able to go out in your workshop and not even think about whether you're going to get a catch and never get a catch, then this is how you're going to do it. Right, this enables me to get a smaller cutting area, see? And when I come across, because I've got that, I actually, without me doing this, a lot of people say do this with the tool, so you get this angle here, right, to cut. I don't have to do that. I stay in front. As soon as I roll it, I've already, because it's dropping here, I've already got a skew angle, so I'll also get a skew cut finish on it. Okay, now like I've said, you can't come on and go bevel and raise the handle and cut, because if I'm coming here, okay, it's going to hit there, nothing here, nothing, look, massive gap, so you're going to be trying to rub your bevel on that. It ain't going to work. It just ain't going to work. Okay, right, I'm going to start up, I'm going to make cuts, I'm going to show you how I would approach this. A lot of, like, sorry, before I do that, a lot of people will say use a bowl gouge. Let me just grab a bowl gouge. Here's one, look, I just happen to have one here. Right, grab a bowl gouge, and they will use it this way, okay, and come across with it. You're not going to have the bevel control, and what you're going to do is you're going to be basically, you're cutting on here, and you're going to be scraping it away, and you'll make these cuts across and across and across and across like that. It works. If it works for you, do it. That's fine. If you're happy doing it, people have done it for years, you're happy doing it, do it. But for me, I will always say, when you're roughing down a spindle, roughing gouge is the job. Okay, right, so right, I'm going to turn my speed down just because of the shape of this. Okay, start it up, and even slow, I step to the side. Right, I know I can see that it's okay, and turn it up. Now speed is another thing that's very important. My thing with speed, when people say how fast should I turn it, right, as fast as you can safely turn it. That means as fast as you can turn it without it coming off, without it shaking everything about, and without you basically gripping your arse cheek so that you could you wouldn't get a fag paper in there. Right, there's the wobble, see that? Now he's doing a little Irish jig there, right? Now his little Irish jig, most people would just go back down. That's 800 revs. That is way too slow. Okay, just go through it. Like I say, stand in a safe place. Right, so if I stand over here, it's not going to hit me. Put your hand there if you want. If it comes up and hit your hand, move away. Right, go up. Right, I've gone past it. Now I've come up to 1600. Right, I'm at 17. I'm at 1850. That's fine. I'm quite happy with that. I'll start at that. Now, when we're going to come on, we are not going to do this and put our bevel there and raise our handle. That's asking for a catch in your first touch, and you'll go bang, get a catch, and then that's it. You don't want to do it. Right. Put it in your left hand. If you're right-handed and you can't do your left hand, stand over this side. Try to stand away from this wood. Okay. And all you're going to do is you're going to do a back cut. Don't come in and try and do this, just go backwards. You can come on the end, tools roll slightly to the side, look at the angle, and just come in, and we do a back cut. Simple as that, okay? Come in here, and we do a back cut, right? Now, within literally just a couple of cuts, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to go from this side so you can see it. Look, come on, using the back of the bevel. The bevel, I'm holding it in this angle. Got my tool handle right down, so I'm not rubbing the bevel, but I am presenting it in that side. So the wood is coming down onto that cutting edge, okay? And all I'm doing, that back cut. Now, as soon as I've made those couple of cuts, what I've got starting to smooth here. I'm now starting to get a place, look, where my bevel can go, but I've got a gap here still. So I've still got to go a little bit more, right? But I'm getting this place, beautiful finish, where that's where a bevel can sit, okay? So at the moment, because we've still got these bits, we've got to get it down a little bit further before we can actually get the bevel in full control. So that's what we're going to do, okay? So I'm going to go across again. If you go backwards, you will never. If you come here and come forward, there's always that chance you might grab something and chuck it off. If there's a crack, if there's a bit of bark, it will flick it off at you. If you go backwards, it doesn't happen. It lays it flat. So we're going to go back, and now we're coming forward. Right, I'm just going to touch. Right, I can still feel it's bumpy. If you want, you can do this, what a lot of people do. Smooth there, bumpy in the middle. There. Right, a little bit more. So again, as you can see, when I'm starting my cut, I'm not going to, a lot of people will say to do this and come here and go out, and come here and go out, okay, like this, because you might chunk off the end. If you come with the back and you go that way, it will never chunk anything off the end. If I come this way, yes, it could grab in and flick a big chunk off. It's impossible for it to do it this way. It can't do it, look. Okay, so I come in, come backwards. Really? Right, now I can tell it's getting round by the way the shavings are starting to get longer. And this is dry wood, not wet wood. Right, now what you can see is here, look, finger, that is way, way, way too far. Get that in, right, there we go, look, I can't fit nothing between that. And now we can start to get our bevel. Now we've got a place, look, our bevel's there. Once our bevel's there, all we have to do is rotate it to pick up a cut, okay? So now I'm going to come on. Now I've got a full bevel controlled cut. And I've got nice shavings, and it's dry wood, it's not wet wood. And I'm getting a nice smooth finish, okay? But now it's my bevel that's controlling, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And look, this is the finish we're getting off our roughing game. You can see we haven't tried to get a perfect finish, but we've got a beautiful finish on it. Right, with my tool angled down with the way it is, for that bevel to come on, okay, that's the bevel there riding, okay, look, it's just going to start to cut. Now as you can see, the wood comes over onto this edge and it just slices off, okay, it just does that, it slices off. If I put my bevel on, right, so I anchor my tool. I don't know who come up with this, I really don't.
ABC, because then you don't have to spill.
Anchor my tool there and put my bevel on, and then raise the handle to make a cut. What's happened?
Come off the bevel.
There's no bevel. So I've straight away come into this. I've got to now control how much wood this comes off, and that with an unsupported edge, it wants to feed in. It just wants to go inwards. If my bevel's on, and this is the beauty of having this curve, right, slight curve to it, my bevel's on there, that's it rubbing, it's not cutting, okay, it's just going to start to cut. So my bevel's there, right, all I have to do is rotate, and as soon as I rotate I pick up that cut, okay. So right, that's my bevel, I rotate it and it picks up the cut, I rotate it and it picks up the cut. But I am not raising my handle. My handle's not moving, okay? My handle is there, and that bevel is giving every bit of control, even to the point where just one-handed and you can come across it. Okay, that bevel, look, every time the bevel. Do not want to come on with the bevel and then raise the handle, then I come there, look, now it starts, it's
diving in,
it's going to dive in, it's unsupported. You don't want an unsupported cut. The bevel, and it doesn't matter what's coming round onto this, it can't, if I come here with an unsupported and it grabs, it will always do this to the tool. If I'm here, no matter what comes around, it's coming onto this cutting edge here, okay, and it will only slice off. The most it will ever do, if it did bang on something, the tool would move there. It will never go down there. That's for catch free turning, okay. That means you can rough all these blanks down all day long and you will never ever get a catch if that's the way you approach it, okay. It's this simple thing. If you hold that there and you push on there, you can push, okay. If you put that there and you push on there, you're going to cut your finger. Simple as that, okay. And that's how the wood's got to come. When the wood touches it, it's got to cut, and there is no pressure whatsoever. You will see so many people. I'm going to take this bit of wood off, finish with that for a second. Now of course you've got, when you come to square bits of wood, I'm not looking for centres on this. I'm not wanting it to be on centre. I'm going to block that up. Lisa's getting muck all over her. Right, I'm not looking for this to be on centre. I want it to be out of balance, and how a lot of people have things that they're turning. Now again, this one, because it's got a knot piece there, that's where a branch would have come out, so that really is going to be end grain. That's where that can get a bit grabby, okay. I've got a bigger gap here than here, right, okay. I'm going to turn the speed down a bit again, because I don't know, that was at 1800, right, there we go. Now that one's actually a bit more in balance, because that's 1100 and he starts doing his little Irish jig. I'm going to start to call, I'm not going to call him, I'm going to call him Michael Flatley. Yeah. Right, so I'm going up, 16, 17, I've just got to 1800. Few little rattles, that's going to go as soon as I make a couple of cuts. Yeah. Right, again, come in, back of the tool. There we go. Back of the tool. All I'm doing, using the same angle, right, I can see I've got a gap coming, I can move it in a bit. Get it in for safety. And all I'm doing is making back cuts at the moment. Now I can come forward. No catching whatsoever, okay? And that will knock those corners off. Very quickly start to knock off. Only just touching there, but this side's completely round and I'm knocking there and I'm still missing that bit. Now the thing is, like I said, if you come in and you do this way, that's going to be banging onto your tool, okay? That's going to be banging onto that edge. As long as we're here, when that comes down, that's what we get, okay? And it slices it and it takes away all that beating you up. All right, that's for roughing. Right, I'll get rid of that. So that's our roughing gouge. There's a lot you can do with a roughing gouge, there really is. You know, so I've said before, I have my roughing gouges that I put, this is exactly the same size roughing gouge, a 1 inch, but I put a fingernail grind on it, okay? Now that then turns this tool into a tool that you can do so much amazing stuff. But we're not talking about, and this, now this one, you'll notice, 50-degree bevel, okay? Right, the reason behind that is because that means I can do nice round, like circle cuts. Again, it comes down to the bevel. This might actually go out of round now, I don't know. I think I've turned it the opposite way to what it was, I'm not sure. Might be alright. Right, tool rest right in. I mean, we've got a crack here, look, that crack goes right across. Not bothered about it because I'm not going to go there and open it up. Right, so when I have this sort of a grind, okay, and we'll talk about sharpening at a separate time. Here, I can come on, there's the bevel, okay, and I can get a beautiful skew cut. Like so, okay. Now that, move that down a little bit. That gives this look. That's a beautiful finish because I've just basically used that exactly the same as a skew. Okay, that whole wing can be used as a skew. All right. But with that 50 degree on this one, it enables me to be able to come round corners and to be able to ride that bevel like so. Around like that and get nice cuts because the bevel's in control. Okay, so all I'm doing, look, there's the bevel, okay, I rotate my hand, this is it, just a twist, bevel is staying in contact. If I come here and then I raise the tool, now the bevel's out of contact, straight away it's put a little ridge in there because as soon as I take the bevel off, it wants to automatically go in. If I just rotate, the bevel is in full contact and I can come around and do beautiful curves like this. Now yes, you will see people do it with roughing gouges and do it around, but if you've got this amount of bevel, it is harder to maintain that full bevel contact all the way around. As you get, it's okay with a big arc like this. When you get that a bit tighter, there's a chance you'll come off the bevel. You come off the bevel, there's your catch. Okay? All the time the bevel's on, it can't catch. The bevel controls it. The same as when you come in and I want to go across here, when I come in there, and all I've done, my bevel's on, I've just brought the tool in, that now has given me that ledge. Everything above that will be removed as long as the bevel sits on there. Okay, and as long as that bevel sits on that ledge, everything above it will be removed. Right, that's the beauty of having this on a roughing gouge, okay, because when I come in here like there and now I come along, now this coming up here, you can see by this fluffing, this is end grain, okay, and what we don't want to do is push in to end grain, but because of the shape we have and because we have the bevel in control and we come here, the actual cut, I'm not pushing into it, the actual wood is coming to the cutting edge there, and what it's doing, I'm not pushing into it, the wood is coming down and slicing on here. The wood is cutting, I'm not cutting the wood. The wood's cutting itself on the tool. So it doesn't actually realise it's even being cut. And there's no pressure to me, okay? Because when that comes down and that comes on, there is absolutely no pressure put on the tool.
Yeah.
Right.
Show that again.
So.
Show that again.
Right, as I'm there, I would cut in. So my bevel would be here on, okay. If I raise the handle, it's going to dive in. That's a catch. Yeah. That's a catch every time. You're going to get a catch. If I come on here like this, it's going to skip. Sometimes you will not get your bevel perfect, and you will go like that. And that's, look, that's what it wants to do. All it wants to do is run back. That is not a catch, okay. That is just really upsetting because it puts a line across there. Right, bevel. So when this is turning, come in, get your bevel. There's the bevel. It won't be cutting. Now we rotate the tool and we start to pick up the cut. Then we can come in. Then we can follow the cut down.
And as we're coming down, we're going to start pushing into grain. This grain's going here, and they will say, don't ever push in. You would cut it like, but we can, as long as we keep that bevel, because what we're doing is we're not pushing into the end grain. The end grain is being sliced off from the side of the tool. This is where the shape of your tools and your bevels come in to play. Okay, but and this is where different bevels for different jobs. Because if you have, I've got one here. If you have, okay, a thing with this long bevel like that, when you come here and you come in, when you come onto here, you are not going to keep that whole bevel in control to come in a tight curve. So as you get to here, you're going to come off the bevel and you're going to go tip and heel, and that's another catch. Okay, so this is where one bevel doesn't do everything. Okay, and that's why this one has a 50-degree on it, which enables me to come in. There's the bevel, look, no cutting, rotate, there's a cut. Now I can push in. Right, that's going to start to come in and go uphill. I don't want to do that. If I was going to cut up, I would have to drop my handle and let this come down onto it here and cut, but it's not what I want to do. You don't want to cut uphill. I would then come to this side, come here, rotate and come in and just match up the two. Okay, and then for this little bit, look, bevel's on, I can come in, flutes open, but I'm controlled by the bevel, because this is the other thing with it. When you come in flat, if you come in here, it will feed in. If the bevel's on and it can't feed in, because no matter how much I push that, see, it cannot go into the wood. And when that's coming down onto that, all the forces are just pushing the bevel on. Okay, there it goes in, it will go this and it will come down here. Bevel controls everything. Okay, right, that's our roughing gouge. Not everyone's got one, not everyone wants one, that's fine, that's up to you. Okay, but spindle gouges are exactly the same. Here I have a spindle gouge. Now this one has a very short bevel. This is for doing nice curves. The shorter this bevel here, okay, the tighter the curves you can do. Okay, the longer the bevel, as in here, and the steeper, this is a 45, this is a 50. Okay, you can see the difference in them. Right, this will do nice tight curves, this will have to do longer curves. You try and do a tight curve, you will come onto the tip and that's your catch. Okay, so it's understanding how you're holding the tool. Right, here I've got to have my handle down a bit for this bevel. Okay, but it's the same thing as the roughing gouge. All I do is rotate and I can come in. And I can come out again and come in again and come out again and come in again. But what I want to do for the whole cut is keep the bevel working. So there's the bevel. Okay, you see a lot, you can slice in and get your bevel in. Okay, so it's like I said, it's cut then bevel. Right, you want to get your bevel on, you can put your bevel there, but we're not going to go anywhere because we can't cut anything if the bevel's rubbing. We have to come off. But if we slice in, now we've got a depth, so we've cut, now we get the bevel there and we come across. Okay, so if you want to come in and start a cut, let me just clean that off. If you want to come in and start a cut on here on spindles, okay, if you've got, look at your bevel where it is now. This is, I'm not going this way, so I don't need the bevel in line there. I'm going to be cutting in. So I've got to make sure as that cuts in there, see my bevel has immediately come onto the wood. So that's no good me cutting in with it there because it won't work, and if I do that it won't work. It will get there and it will probably, no, it's not skipping, but it's going to have to go very deep. Not going to get the bevel control. Okay, That's all right if I want to make a couple of like a little V cut or something. That would be okay. But the idea here, I've got to look at the tool and think, right, I want to come in and curve. So that's got to fit in. So as soon as I slice, there. Okay, I've sliced it in. Now I can rotate it, and my bevel is there in contact with the wood. Look, all the time. That bevel, it can't cut nothing here because it's already cut it away. It can only cut what's in front of it, like so. This is quite a deep cut. Now I'm just going to shallow it up, so I just let the bevel come up a bit by changing the angle. Now, the more I go that way, the more it will come out. The more I go that way, the more it will go in. So if I want to go in, it's going to make a bit of noise. If I want to go in, I bring my handle out, but do not bring it in and take the bevel off like that. That's what happens, see? Skips back. If you're going to do it, you must be moving forward and you must bring the bevel around and follow the curve. Keeping sure that that bevel, you have to really watch what you're doing. You'll get the hang of it in the end, but when you're learning, don't worry about all these cut bits, that's where I'm just going. When you're coming round, you must maintain that bevel all the time. The bevel stops all catches. Nothing else will, okay? It's not blunt tools that give you catches. It's not the wood that gives you catches. It's not your speed giving you catches. It's not the tool you're using. It's you're not using your bevel. Every tool is the same, okay? Now, everyone's got to find where the tools go. And always put your tools back. Don't pile them over your lathe where they could fall on the floor and cut. This one, I did say, sorry, this bevel, shorter bevel, right, let's clean this up first. Right, shorter bevel means I can do tighter curves, okay? I can come in and do tighter, like so, because it's a lot shorter bevel. So if I want to roll beads and things in there, I can do them with the shorter bevel, easier to stay in contact. When you come round here, a shorter bevel can stay in contact a lot more all the way around on the wood, okay? Short bevel stays in a lot easier to stay in contact, okay? Now, this brings into another thing, sharpening. I always sharpen on a wheel, okay? Because now the belt like Pro Edge and all the other sanding, but you don't have to have a Pro, you can have any belt. So right, the flat grind, okay, the wood we're turning is round. It's round this way, it's round this way, it's always round, okay? So if we've got this shape, we've got this shape here, to sit on it we need something that's got this shape. That sits in perfect, okay? If that's got a flat grind, the middle of it would always be rocking. I will always be on either tip or heel. I can never ever have the full contact of the bevel on something that's round if it's flat, okay? It's as simple as that. I've not got any flat grind ones to show you one, but it's just a fact. It's like if I use that the bar, okay, you put that square bar on, look, it's gonna rock, okay? Yeah. If I put a half moon shape in that, it will sit straight over it. That's what a hollow grind is. A hollow grind is a half moon shape in your tool and it sits perfectly on that shape. Means your bevel has complete and full contact and you do not want any facets on it. You want one single facet all the way around. Very important if you want to have catch free turning. If you don't mind getting a few catches, then don't worry about it. But if you don't want to get a catch, all the way around, single facet, done, okay? And that's why, so that's covered those grinds. Now,
your relief one.
The relief bevel, that just means this one hasn't got a relief on it, okay? Now, this will still be fine for doing things like this. Bevels in full contact, come all the way around, no problem, okay? But if I'm doing an inside curve here, the outside curve, it doesn't matter. You can hold an outside curve. inside curve like here, as I come down here, right, I will get it go on the tip and the heel if it's too long. Okay, that's why I have relief bevels on most of my tools. That way that bevel can stay in contact all the way round. Also, as you come around, if you're doing an inside curve, when you come around and you've cut in, you're following it with your bevel, you come here. When you come to this bit here, okay, don't try to keep going round, because you will at some point go tip. What you must do is, as you cut in and you come round, you must open your flute so it can fit in there. Look, it fits perfectly. It won't catch, it won't grab in as long as you use that. If you come in and you raise your handle and your bevel comes off and you go there, then that is going to catch straight away, and you're going to gouge that centre out, leave a horrible mark, and it won't be nice, and you will think, bugger that, I've got a catch, I'll try a different tool. It's not the tool, it's the bevel. If you come down, make that cut, you come down to here, this here, this curve is exactly the same as a bowl. Okay, it's no different, it's just that that would be there and turning like that. Right, so as you come down the side, we want to cut all this grain. As we come onto here, we want to open our flute and come around, and then we close it a bit again to come in. The part of here, we've got end grain coming out here and end grain here going this way. So if we push like this, we're always going to tear it up at this point. When we open the flute, the grain, this side and this side, are cutting on these two areas here. So we're cutting those two bits. Although it's very small, we are cutting those two bits together at the same time. And then we come round. That way we won't tear it out as we do if we come round and get that. Okay? I'm hoping that's explaining a few things. Right, everyone's biggest nightmare, biggest bugbear is the skew chisel.
And Paul McGregor actually said about that.
Right, the skew chisel.
The devil's chisel.
It's the same thing. You must have that. The only time a skew will ever catch is when you come off the bevel. When the bevel's on, it cuts. When you come off, it catches. It does that. Okay? Bevel. That there, okay, on a skew is identical. Actually, that's not the one I was using. Let me get one of the other ones. Sorry. There, that'd be better. This is the tool I was using. Right? It's exactly the same. It is just a bevel. Even the same length. Look at that. Right. For this to work, that must stay in contact all the time. For this to work, it must stay in contact all the time. Now, we can help with things by raising our tool rest up. So if we bring our tool rest up a bit, I would sort of get it more or less so we're level with the centre, then we can be working higher up on the top of the wood, and that way we get more control, because the wood is coming to us here and there's less chance we're going to creep up. Okay, and here we can come in and we can make our cuts across. Okay, but the biggest thing with a skew is, again, staying on the bevel. The minute we come off the bevel is when problems happen, and I've spoke about it before with a skew. If you're going to turn right-handed and you're going to turn you'll find you'll do lovely cuts here, you'll follow them round, you'll do nice cuts. Planing cuts, you'll do nice planing cuts. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to spin this up, I'm just going to level that off. Okay, it's quicker, I'll turn the speed up a bit now, it's quicker for me to do it this. Right, look, just get rid of it. Right, I'm not worrying about that bit because it's got that crack on it. Right, I've just taken that stuff away and covered Lisa in a few more shavings.
Yeah.
Right, okay, the only thing is that, but I will take it down because that stops me getting There we go. Right. Has it gone down your top? Sorry, darling. Right, okay, so now for the planing cut, like I said, as long as we keep that bevel on, it will come across. Now, if you're coming across this way, you're right-handed, the planing cut is not a problem either way. But if you're going to go that way, you've got to come right round here and come this way. That starts to make this cut here a bit more awkward. Really learn to get it in your left hand, because when you change it over to that hand, that cut becomes so much easier. Okay, and we can come across here so much easier with it. Now, what it also stops you doing is if you're going to follow round on a curve, if you do it this way and you come round here, if you're right-handed, you will tend to get most of your catches with the skew when you're going from left to right, when you're working that way. That's because you will have a tendency to do this and bring that bevel off. Bang, there's your catch. When you do this way, you don't do it because your body's in the way. So you will come around this way with a curve and it won't happen, okay? The other thing that can help you, thinner blade skews. Thicker blades are nice, okay, but to get a really good cutting edge, you have to have a longer bevel. When you have a thinner skew, I mean, I can show you like this one. See, this is a actually old one, this one. Now, I've been playing about and I put a rounded one on here. I don't like it. I was going to go back to square, but I've only just done it. But that, some people find that easier. I was actually showing with some bits, so I put it on there. I don't like it. I'd rather straight across, but I was having a play. But again, I've got to have a very long bevel to get a fine cutting edge, okay? Because if you do that on a fixed skew, it would be a shorter bevel, it would be very steep and it wouldn't give you a nice cut. So, for new turners, when you're learning, I would recommend get yourself a thin bladed skew, okay, like that, because that means you can have the same sharp cutting edge but a shorter bevel. That means, like with the spindle gouge, with the relief, it's easier to keep that bit in contact than it is to keep the whole length. When you're going around, if you want to do it for shaping, if you want to make planing cuts, that's different. Then the longer the better and the easier, it will be easy enough to control, okay? But if you want to come across, now this will give a nice planing cut. I can come across here, and I mean, I'm doing this because I'm showing you. A skew is normally the only chisel I would put my hand over the top. That and a roughing gouge. The reason being is I have more control when I've got my fingers around there, okay? And that's how I would normally come in and make those planing cuts. Now, when you come to be going around corners, so if we do a bit of a cut in here, I want to get a big enough cut. Right, so when we're going to come around here, okay, and do this with a short bevel like I've got here, as you can see, it's easier for me. Oh, there are a little skip because I was just turned around to talk to you and I let go of it. Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Right, let me come round. There you go. Right, cut, and then I'll take the tool away. I turn like that. I turn and also I caught it. Right. So that is easier to do with a shorter bevel than a long bevel, because when we come in and we've got the long bevel, let me grab one of these. There you go. That one's got a long bevel. When we've got a longer bevel like that and we come onto this, as we come round here, it's a lot easier to come off of it. So we have to be more careful and more mindful as we come round like this. There's so much bevel, we're not using the whole of that bevel. So it's a waste of time having it if you want to do this. If you want to do plain cuts, yes, that can help you. Okay, that can help you to maintain because it sits nice. And again, because we've got such a long bevel, again, skews not on a belt, because that you need that concave, so that sits in. It's got to sit in. For these curves here, it must sit in. If that's a flat grind, as you come over, you cannot possibly keep that bevel in contact. You will come onto your tip. So what you'll be doing is you'll be cutting that by using the tip and not the bevel. But you can cut with the corner. You can cut with the tip of that corner and do your cuts. But you won't keep your bevel in control. So that's the bit. If you want to get nice curves, buy yourself a thinner bladed skew. So I've got a few thin bladed skews I have. These are thinner bladed, so they can have this nice short bevel, okay? Same as this one. This is beautiful, this tapered skew. And I can get the same sharp edge. This is the one I made my hummingbirds with. It's thick up here, it's got stability, but down here it's nice and thin. I don't need a long bevel. That means for that bevel, it's hard for you to see probably, but that bevel can stay in contact, okay? It can stay in contact all the way around. It's like when I put it on here, it's easy for that bevel there, that whole bevel is touching that wood, but you must have a hollow grind. If it's a flat grind, as you can see, as soon as I come there, it rocks. If it's there, it sits, okay? That's just a thing with a skew. But to me, okay, a skew, I very rarely use it nowadays, because basically if I want to do real planing cuts like this, my roughing gouges will do it. They will do it fine. And these fingernail grind ones, they will give me this beautiful planed cut, as good as any skew gets, okay? So I very rarely use a skew other than doing planing cuts. With this, doing this, you can come in with your skew and you will be a bit tentative, and you might get those catches, and people think, I don't know, I think people think it makes you sound like you're a better turner if you say I use a skew. I don't know why. All tools are the same, but for me that is so much easier to come in here, okay, and pick that up and do that with a spindle gouge. It is so much easier. I can come in here and I can put that there and come in and I can cut that in, and I can cut that in there, okay, so I can roll this over with a spindle gouge. So much easier than with this with the skew. So to me, I would always use a spindle gouge. It's my favourite tool. If I want to get a nice planing cut, again, I come across like that and I can get as good as what a skew will give. And as you notice, I haven't, because if I'm going to do all this sort of work, okay, notice one thing here which enables cat-free turning. I haven't lowered my tool rest back down. Look, my tool rest is presenting my tool that much above centre, okay? That means I'm cutting the top of the wood. I'm not cutting on a centre line. There's no catching. It can never possibly take me down there. Can't get a catch. When I want to roll these, I'm actually rolling on the top. I'm not coming here and coming around the side, you know. So if I've got my tool rest down and I'm coming here, look where I am, okay? This is where your danger place is for getting catches. So if I'm rolling around or pushing around here, I'm on this centre line. If I've got my tool rest up here, I'm no longer anywhere near the centre line and I'm cutting here. I am on the centre line. I've just moved the centre line from here to here. So that's where I would be cutting on centre. All I've done is move that centre line to there, and I'm still cutting. I'm still cutting the same cut, but instead of doing it down here where I could get pulled down, I'm doing it up here. Look, there's my bevel, okay? I cut, as soon as I cut, that's the shelf of my bevel. I don't have to be down here on centre. Now again, like I've said, you want a place for your bevel to go, so we can just do that, a slice, that's it. That's a seat for my bevel. There's my bevel. Okay, and this is, look, I'm just working this angle with my tool, okay, but I've got beautiful cuts. Like so, okay. Beautiful finish, as good as you're going to get with any skew, okay, because I'm up here and I'm just planing along. The wood's coming to the tool's not going to the wood, okay. The wood doesn't even know it's been cut. There you go, just thinks it's lost weight. Catch-free turning, okay, that's on spindle, guys. I'll bring it back in a minute and we'll do a little bit on the bowl. Right, so what I'll do is I will do it as another video because this one's been long enough, okay, so I'll bring it back to do it as a bit for on the bowls. So that's toodle pip, and I'll see you on the next one.
Bye guys.